On August 15, 1995, at 8:15 p.m., Atlantic Airways Flight 401 was preparing for takeoff from Miami International Airport. Heavy storm clouds loomed over the runway, and strong gusts of wind rocked the parked airplanes. Inside the cockpit of the massive Boeing 747, Captain James Cooper was triple-checking the flight systems, while his co-pilot, Thomas Reynolds, was discussing a route adjustment with air traffic control due to the approaching storm. In the cabin, flight attendant Maria Sanchez was helping passengers settle into their seats. With 12 years of experience, she had a sharp eye and could instantly memorize faces and personalities. At the back of the plane sat a group of 6 marine biology students led by Professor Alex Cohen, heading to a research center in Puerto Rico. In business class, renowned neurosurgeon David Rosenthal was traveling for an urgent surgery. Next to him sat newlyweds John and Emily Parker, returning from their honeymoon and unable to take their eyes off each other. By the window, 5-year-old Sarah Miller hugged her stuffed bear tightly. This was her first flight. At 8:42 p.m., after a half-hour delay due to weather, the Boeing 747 began its run down the runway. Rain pelted the windows, but the experienced crew smoothly lifted the aircraft into the sky. At an altitude of 3,300 feet, the plane entered a dense layer of clouds. Flight 401 climbed to 35,000 feet and proceed on the adjusted route. The controller's voice came through the headphones. Ahead lay a path through the infamous Bermuda Triangle. The first hour of the flight passed uneventfully. Flight attendants served drinks, and passengers settled in for the 3-hour journey. At 9:45 p.m., the plane entered the Bermuda Triangle zone. That's when the first strange occurrences began. Flight engineer Mark Thompson was the first to notice something odd with the instruments. The compass needle started to quiver, then suddenly jerked 40 degrees to the left before returning to its original position. "Captain, take a look at this." Thompson pointed to the instrument panel. All 3 independent compasses displayed different directions, something that was technically impossible. At 10:15 p.m., the co-pilot reported unusual radio interference. A low, pulsating hum broke through the usual radio chatter, growing louder. Simultaneously, navigation systems began to malfunction. The GPS indicated the plane was in 5 different locations, hundreds of miles apart. The crew's concern grew with every passing minute. At 10:30 p.m., Captain Cooper contacted the nearest air traffic control center. Flight 401 requesting information on weather anomalies in the area. "We are experiencing serious equipment malfunctions." The controller's response was drowned out by the growing static. In the cabin, passengers began noticing strange things. Water in glasses rippled as if from invisible vibrations. Some complained of dizziness and nausea. Professor Cohen took a compass from his backpack. The needle spun wildly, unable to find north. Little Sarah cried, pointing out the window. "Mommy, look! The ocean is glowing." At 10:47 p.m., the situation worsened dramatically. All electronic systems on the aircraft began failing one after another. The onboard computers rebooted every few seconds. The autopilot disengaged. On the instrument panel, dozens of warning lights flashed erratically. The last message from Captain Cooper came at 10:54 p.m. "Control, this is Flight 401. We see an unusual glow under the ocean surface. It looks like it's some kind of spiral. It's growing. My God, it's coming up to us. We've lost control. Mikey, I'm sorry, son." The transmission cut off. At that moment, Flight 401's radar signal split into several points, which scattered in different directions within fractions of a second before disappearing entirely. The plane vanished as if it had never existed. A search operation began immediately despite the stormy weather. 8 Coast Guard ships, 12 airplanes, and 3 submarines combed the suspected crash site. Rescuers encountered inexplicable difficulties. Navigation instruments gave false readings, radio communication constantly cut out, and compasses pointed randomly. On the 3rd day of searching, a patrol boat found a few items. A life jacket with the flight's number, a fragment of fuselage the size of a magazine page, and a child's backpack belonging to Sarah Miller. Inside was her soaked stuffed bear. No other traces of the crash were found. After 2 weeks of fruitless searching, the operation was officially called off. The final report stated a presumed crash due to unknown causes. Relatives of the victims were forced to bury empty coffins. 8-year-old Michael Cooper placed a photo of himself and his father flying a kite into his father's grave and vowed to one day uncover the truth. Years passed. Michael grew up with an unshakable determination to solve the mystery of his father's disappearance. He studied oceanography at university, specialized in deep-sea research, and participated in dozens of expeditions. Each dive brought him closer to his goal. By 2024, he had become one of the leading experts in the search for sunken objects. In December 2023, Michael was approached by biologists from the Marine Research Institute. They had observed strange behavior in dolphins near the Flight 401 disappearance site. A massive pod of about 40 dolphins had been circling the same spot for months, even during storms. Such behavior defied all known patterns. On January 12, 2024, the research vessel Poseidon set out to sea. On board was a unique team: Dr. Sarah Chen, a leading expert on marine mammal behavior; Robert McKenzie, a legendary deep-sea diver with a world record for time spent at depth; Elena Volkova, developer of cutting-edge hydroacoustic systems; and Captain Jack Hawthorne, a veteran with hundreds of rescue missions under his belt. From the first hours, the expedition encountered unusual phenomena. Navigation instruments malfunctioned as soon as the ship entered the area. Computer systems periodically rebooted without explanation. The same low pulsating hum that was recorded before Flight 401's disappearance echoed in the hydrophone headphones. A pod of dolphins met the ship 10 miles from the target area. The animals behaved unusually organized, swimming in a tight formation and occasionally surfacing as if observing the people on deck. One large male, nicknamed Captain by the team, seemed to coordinate the pod's actions. The first dive of an autonomous underwater vehicle nearly ended in disaster. At a depth of 200 feet, all its systems suddenly shut down. Only an emergency ascent saved the expensive equipment. Analysis of the recordings revealed that just before the failure, the sensors detected a powerful magnetic anomaly. On the third day of searching, Michael decided to dive. Along with Robert McKenzie, he descended to a depth of 300 feet. Visibility was unusually clear for the area. About 100 feet, the dolphins followed the divers, forming a semicircle behind them. Suddenly, a massive object appeared out of the blue haze. Michael's breath caught. Before him lay a passenger airplane, resting on the seabed in almost perfect condition. Despite nearly 30 years underwater, the fuselage was remarkably intact. The tail number was still visible, 401. Unexpectedly, motion detectors sounded an alarm. 3 large tiger sharks were approaching the dive site. The situation turned critical. Robert reached for a flare gun, but then the unbelievable happened. The dolphins quickly formed a tight circle around the divers. Captain and 5 other large dolphins charged at the sharks, ramming them with their snouts. The rest of the pod created powerful shock waves with their tails. Within a minute, the sharks retreated. The subsequent examination of the plane took 4 days. In the cockpit, everything indicated the crew had tried to deal with something unexplainable. The control column was pushed to its limits, and emergency systems were activated. In Captain Cooper's uniform pocket, they found a photo of young Michael and a note. "Happy birthday, son. Dad will be back in 2 days." In the cabin, time seemed frozen. Oxygen masks hung above every seat, a sign the crew had fought to save the passengers until the end. On the tray table of seat 14A was a copy of National Geographic, featuring an article on the Bermuda Triangle's mysteries. In the seat pocket next to it was Professor Cohen's journal with an entry. "The strange glow is intensifying. It looks like something from another world." The most mysterious discovery, however, was the damage to the fuselage. Perfectly round holes 6 inches in diameter were found across the plane's surface, arranged in precise geometric patterns. The edges of the holes were melted at temperatures far beyond anything known to modern weapons or natural phenomena. The black box was retrieved on the 5th day of the operation. Despite decades underwater, some recordings were preserved. What the experts heard was beyond belief. 1 minute before the disappearance, all systems experienced a massive electromagnetic pulse. The final words recorded were, "It's coming up to us. My God, it's not." The dolphins stayed near the research site throughout the operation. Biologists noted that this was the third generation of dolphins displaying such behavior. By analyzing markings on their fins, they identified some whose grandparents had been observed in the same area in the late 1990s. On the last day of diving, Michael discovered something astonishing. Inside a sealed plastic container tucked into the instrument panel, where water could not reach, lay a flight log. The final entries told a chilling story. 11:15 p.m. All systems failed. Engines won't start. We are spiraling down. Something is glowing beneath us, like a giant whirlpool of light. 11:17 p.m. Somehow the plane is slowing down, as if something is holding us in the air. Passengers are panicking. A little girl screams that she sees huge shadows in the water. 11:18 p.m. My God, it's coming up to us. Rings of light are surrounding the plane. The controls don't respond. Instruments show impossible data. Outside temperature, 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Altitude, minus 1,000 feet. Time is running backward. 11:19 p.m. They are here. I see them. Unreadable. Through the fuselage. Unreadable. Not like anything we know. Mikey, I'm sorry I won't see you grow up. The entries ended there. The last page was covered with strange symbols, unlike any known alphabet. When the container was brought to the surface, another unexplained incident occurred. All electronic devices on the ship simultaneously shut down for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. When the systems rebooted, all digital photographs of the Discovery had disappeared from the camera memory. Only analog photos taken with Dr. Chen's old Polaroid remained. Over a week, the team collected more than a terabyte of data. Sonar detected a strange circular depression under the plane, 360 feet in diameter and 85 feet deep, which was not marked on seafloor maps. Magnetometers recorded unexplained surges every 108 minutes. Water samples revealed high concentrations of elements not found in nature. The dolphins' behavior remained the most astonishing mystery. After the flight log was retrieved, they began emitting low-frequency sounds unusual for their species. Analysis revealed a clear mathematical sequence in the signals. Dr. Chen spent 3 months trying to decode their meaning. As the expedition concluded, the dolphins escorted the ship to the edge of the zone, where Flight 401 had vanished. At the boundary, Captain leaped from the water, performed an incredible mid-air twist, and emitted a series of clicks that matched the signal disruptions recorded by the black box during the crash. The mystery of Flight 401 raised more questions than answers. The official investigation reached a dead end, confronted with facts that defied the known laws of physics. The military classified most of the expedition's findings, leaving the public with only speculation and rumors about the crash's cause. The strange circular holes in the fuselage became a hot topic of debate in the scientific community. Michael Cooper continued his research on the Bermuda Triangle. Every month he returned to the crash site, and every time the same pod of dolphins greeted him. They circled over the spot where his father's plane rested, like silent guardians of a mystery that might one day change humanity's understanding of reality forever.